Hey everybody, welcome to the Invest Answers weekly Q&A. Thank you so much for all the questions you guys have submitted, and this is my favorite part of the week. So today we have got 6 questions and a fun question, and they span a whole bunch of different things like leaps, taxes on crypto, a lot of very other interesting stuff. So let's just not waste any time and jump right in. So first of all, first question is from Amit Arora. What are your views on the decoupling of Bitcoin with traditional markets? And I thought this was quite interesting. And my personal opinion is Bitcoin has already decoupled. In fact, not only has it decoupled from the S&P 500, but it's also decoupling from gold and even Ethereum lately. So it's not moving in sync like it used to with these other assets. Now, that being said, if the stock market crashes, odds are Bitcoin will take a dip as well. And it's just one of those things when there is a lot of volatility, people might be forced to sell a lot of their holdings to take advantage of other opportunities in the stock market, or they might be squeezed, or they may have margin calls. So typically that will result in a dip. But that being said, I think they've already decoupled. So the second question came in from KLorent02, and they asked me, what defensive stocks am I positioning myself in ahead of any reversal in the stock market? And that's a very interesting question. So my portfolio is both very crypto heavy and very tech heavy. But to balance it out, I added a little biotech and a little energy as well. The two stocks that I actually picked last year when I got in early around March, April timeframe, one was Illumina and the second one was Next Era Energy, ticker NEE, and the Illumina ticker is ILMN. The Illumina one was an interesting play, and it was originally an ARK investment, but they ditched Illumina in their portfolio because they felt that they lost faith in the CEO. However, I knew because of C-19, the pandemic situation, there would still be a huge need for a lot of their technology that empowers scientists in over 10,000 labs across 115 countries to be able to do things like create testing equipment for C-19 and many other types of biotech needs. That stock has actually run quite a bit, and I'm looking to lighten my load and move it more into CRISPR slowly over time and dollar cost average in. The second play that I really like is Next Era Energy, and I felt there's a big demand for sustainable energy, things that are environmentally friendly, wind, solar, hydropower, especially in the light of the new Green New Deal legislation that could come down the pike, as well as the need for sustainable energy by things like crypto miners. So I was fortunate enough to get in with call option strategy, and after I had invested, they had actually gone through a 4-to-1 stock split. So I actually have quite a lot of that right now, and I think it's getting close to the high. So I'll be looking to maybe hedge that position by selling some out of the money calls against it. So they are the two big defensive stocks that I'm in right now. So the third question, it came from the Broke Broker. That's a cool name. He said, can you explain leaps and the pros and cons of leaps? So leaps should only be used if you feel there's going to be a big run up in a stock over the next 12 to 24 months. It's important as well not to get into a position that's had a lot of recent volatility, because then the premium on the leaps is going to be extremely high. Now, you can make massive returns on leaps in very high growth stocks like Tesla. I actually had some Tesla leaps that were $200 before the actual stock split, which became $40 call options. And they just converted to equity in January. But I got into those over 2 years ago, and the return was kind of staggering. My cost basis for every call, $40 call option, was I think about $4 or $5. So you can imagine a $4 investment is now an equity that I could buy for $40 that was worth $850. So you guys can do the math there, but it was very lucrative. And that shows you the actual power of leaps, especially if there is a lot of high growth and if there's something like a stock split happening at the same time. Now, I love leaps. I do a lot of leap strategies. They are great for making money, but you got to remember, one big disadvantage of leaps is if there is something like a black swan event that happens over that 2-year period, you could be left high and dry. You could lose all of your premium. So they are risky. And remember, Options trading is very risky, and 90% of option trades actually lose. So always bear that in mind when you're playing with options. Okay, the third question today came from Facundo Fabri, and it is an interesting question. Is it likely that Congress will pass a law to tax unrealized capital gains on Bitcoin? So, excellent question. And I am not a tax accountant, however, I'll give you my gut feel. First of all, the bill is very unclear in many areas, and apparently they're not even intending to tax personal transactions, but they're more likely to go after illicit crimes, and gangsters and stuff like that that use crypto. Second of all, I think it would have far-reaching consequences for all types of capital gains, not just crypto, if they were to do this. And that would be the death knell for venture capital, the stock market, and many other things. The third point, I believe the stock market has a very strong influence over the government and lawmaking. Basically, Wall Street influences a lot of politicians in a big way, and they would not be supportive of anything like this because it would kill their business, it would kill capitalism, and that's one of the great things that the US has to offer. Number four, it will also take about 1 to 2 years for this type of legislation to go into place. These things don't happen fast, and that at least gives us 1 to 2 years of runway to plan and organize to be able to be ready for this type of tax situation. Fifth, I'm sorry for being long-winded, but it's a tough question. It would be impossible for people to generate liquidity to pay these unrealized taxes anyway. Can you imagine you're in a position and it goes up 1,000% or 5,000%, as some of my positions have, and you haven't realized them? Where do you get the money to pay these taxes? It's basically impossible to do. And then sixth, I think if the IRS did this, a lot of people would be giving up their US passports and leaving the country. I think it's completely unfair to tax anything that's unrealized, and these are just my personal opinions. Again, I'm not a tax accountant. Finally, this is actually a seventh point regarding these taxes. It's kind of nuts, but you can see I've been thinking a lot about taxes. The treatment of long-held investments remains uncertain. So, for example, imagine you have a father-in-law or mother-in-law that worked at a company and they held shares of General Electric or Microsoft or something for 30 years and never ever cashed them in. Can you imagine the mark-to-market effect of the taxes and that type of holding? It would be crazy. So I don't see this passing, and if it does, it won't happen for another 2 years, but I think the chances of it are extremely remote. So brilliant question. The next question is question number 5. This came in from IPR1212. I think it's IPR 1212. And he said, do you ever work with Fibonacci numbers? And obviously, this is my favorite question. Of course, I love numbers. I believe the universe is run by mathematics. And the Fibonacci sequence, I've been fascinated by a young age because of snails and flowers and plants, and everything is actually based on the Fibonacci sequence. So I've also believed in the golden ratio, and I think everything ties back to that. So this is a really, really fun thing that everybody should really study. Now, if you're talking from a trading perspective, I like to use Fibonacci retracement to identify entry points as well as other technical analysis. And I also use Fibonacci extensions to identify my tops when I can do things like sell out of the money calls against my long positions. And I will be having a Fibonacci technical analysis session on Patreon in about a month or so. I have a lot of other basic stuff to get through first on technical analysis. That will be coming. So I love the question. Thank you so much, IPR1212. Sixth question. This is from Bryce King. And I see the questions this week are all over the map, and it's really fun to do. So he said, are you doing anything with silver? It looks like it may be a target of the Wall Street bets. I think that may have been a question that was posed a week or so ago. I think the excitement around silver has faded away just a little bit. However, as you know, I'm a little bit anti-gold. I don't think gold makes much sense. So one of the things I did recently was analyze the actual gold price over the last 10 years, took US dollar purchasing power, and basically I estimate that gold has actually gone down 21% effectively over the last 10 years. Now, silver is a different situation, and I will be sharing kind of a silver analysis, and I've become a little bit intrigued by silver, and it was brought to my attention by the Wall Street Bets people. But I believe because of its industrial need, and again, second time I'm mentioning in this video, the Green New Deal, that will drive a lot of demand for silver as we go forward. Things like batteries and renewables all require that metal. So again, I also, per my silver video with SIVR, I have defined an entry point, and that is $24.50. And we came really close to that actually on Friday. So stay tuned. Patreon will find out what exactly I'm trading if we do reach that level, how I'll go in. I'll probably start small and just increase slowly over time as I figure out where the market's actually going. A final fun question of the day is from Miranda. She wanted to know my favorite movie. So my favorite movie is actually a Stephen King story called Shawshank Redemption. And it's a heartfelt story of friendship between two incredible characters forged in prison. But what I really like it's a testament to extreme willpower and dedication. And the lesson for me is, if you really, really want something bad enough, nothing is impossible as long as you're dedicated and you never give up. So that's why I love that movie. Thank you all. Hope you all have a good week. If you like this content, thumbs up. Please submit your questions as well. I'll get to them. And thank you for your time. Bye.